So competition and competitiveness is what makes sports great. Whenever you watch a game and it's just super competitive and the competition is really high, it really draws you in and it makes you want to keep watching. But where this kind of gets a little bit out of hand is when teams start to use things that shouldn't be in the game to create an unfair advantage against other teams, especially when it's against the rule book and it's just morally wrong. There should be no toleration for this because, like I said, it's just so wrong in so many ways. And there's teams that aren't doing it. They're doing all the right things and that are working hard to try and win. But there's other teams that are creating this advantage that shouldn't be in the game. So there just should really be no toleration for it. And so the first scandal I'm going to talk about is a very well-known scandal. It's the Astros sign stealing. And this has kind of come out over the past year, and it's just basically the Astros were using a TV in their dugout tunnel to relay signs to their hitters, which is very unfair to the other team, especially the pitcher, because the hitter knows what's coming. And it was kind of an unknown thing that the Astros had been doing this for a long time. A lot of players and coaches knew about it, but really didn't want to say anything. They didn't want to be the ones to come out and say the Astros were cheating and trying to take away from what they've done, especially with no hard evidence, just kind of rumors going around. But Mike Fiers was really the first person. He was a pitcher on the Astros World Series team in 2017, and he's on the Athletics now, but he came out and said, yeah, we were cheating in the 2017 World Series, and it gave us a huge advantage against the Dodgers. And he says that he wishes that this could be cleaned up a bit because it's kind of getting out of hand, especially with the Astros organization. And a lot of people say, well, I mean, people try to steal signs in baseball as it is, but when it's within the game, it's allowed. But when you're using technology, it goes against Rule 310B in the MLB handbook, which states that you can't use any electronic equipment to create a tangible reference system, which is exactly what they were doing, and it just shows why what they did was so wrong. And the MLB supposedly knew about this for quite a while, but didn't really do anything about it because the Astros were bringing in a bunch of revenue for them. They were making them money, and they were bringing fans in, and they didn't really want to stop a team from doing that. So they never really did anything about it until the media found out with the whole Mike Fiers situation, and they kind of forced their hand to do something about it. And there's a lot of other scandals that are similar to this, but not exactly the same. There was the Red Sox scandal, which also happened last year, and the Red Sox were caught using Apple Watches to not relay the signs, but the camera guy would tell them the third sign the catcher is putting down is which sign it is, and then they could tell their players that, and that would give them an advantage. So it's still wrong, but it's not nearly in depth as the whole Astros thing. But both of these teams' punishments, they both weren't harsh enough for the crimes they committed. I mean, they both did things that were against the rule book. There's just so morally wrong, and they got very, very minimal punishments. The Astros fired a few front office guys and their head coach, but they didn't really fire they didn't fire any of the players, and they had no suspension or anything like that. They were kind of just given a free pass, and they said, don't do it again. The Red Sox was the same thing. They fired their head coach. Nothing else really happened. So it kind of gave their players a free pass too. And it kind of seems like this has enabled those players and showed them that, I mean, we really don't think it is that wrong because they didn't get any punishment, and they kind of blamed it all in the front office when really the players are the ones that knew what was going on the whole time and could have stood up and said something. So, I mean, I think that these punishments really need to be, especially against the players, need to be harshened so that this doesn't happen because, like I said in the beginning, the competitiveness and the competition in games is what draws people in, but if the fairness is taken away from these games and no one really has a fair playing field, then I mean it kind of just defeats the purpose of competition. And then in that case, I guess people could just do whatever they want and try to gain any advantage that they can. I mean, there's so many other things that people have done to gain advantages, like Barry Bonds and the steroids and stuff like that. And you know, he was never really. I mean, he got a lifetime suspension, can't get into the Hall of Fame, but he's one of the best players to ever play. So, I mean, it's kind of a double standard, and saying that one type of cheating is really bad, but this type isn't as bad. So overall, I mean, this just doesn't belong in sports, and it needs to be people need to be made aware of what's happening. And I mean, yeah, these teams, the punishment needs to be harsher. Technology and cheating shouldn't even be talked about. But overall, that's pretty much it. And yeah, thank you.